Alright, guys, so we got part 3 for Fear Street 1666. And spoilers, it does go back to 94 as well. So, again, you guys can watch this on Netflix. Part 3, I was watching this trilogy, this franchise, like a madman. So, by the end of part 2, we see where Dina was transported into 1666 into Serafio's body to relive the moments of what happened. Now, again, we see a lot of familiar actors praise a different role, and ones that Sarah knew during her lifetime that looked a lot like the ones Dina was around. And she's taking care of her brother, she's trying to take care of her father, but it doesn't look like anything's going very well in the town. Then things take a turn for the worse when things start acting very weird. Cyrus Miller is the one that we do see that gets possessed, and he just goes nuts. He, does everything he did in the newspapers, from taking out his own eyes, and then, of course, doing what he did in the church with all the kids. And so they're trying to figure out exactly why would he do this? Why would he do this? And everyone is pointing fingers at Sarah, and of course, the other character that looks like Hannah, and they're claiming them to be witches. And we see where apparently Sarah had a love interest with another female, like of course Dina does, and they both try to hide from the mob, because again, during that time frame, again, people would say, okay, where's your proof, and then one person would say, oh, well, I saw this, and then you would just have a bunch of other people say, oh, well, I saw this, I saw this. And the only one that seemed to be on Sarah's side was another farmer by the name of Solomon, who was off the grid a little bit. He was trying to start his own community. He just wasn't having no luck, and Sarah goes to him for help. And after everything, with her livestock dying, and then of course her brother dead, and then of course trying to figure out what is going on, and then by the very end of this, you see where Solomon was the one behind this. He was the one that he was trying to persuade Sarah to join him, because of either she admits to the false accusations, or she goes with him and he tries to protect her from not only his brother but from the mob. Well, Sarah tries to do everything she can. We do see how she loses her hand, and then how she gets wrongfully accused of witchcraft, how she gets hung, and she gives her life in order for her love interest to survive. And she makes a vow against Solomon that she will never let him go, that the truth will come out, and that all his descendants is going to be cursed because of what they did. And when Dina does finally wake up, we finally realize that Nick, the one from the second one who's the sheriff, he is the descendant to Solomon. And now it's up to Dina and Josh, and then her, of course, Ziggy, and whoever else, to try to figure out exactly how do they beat him, because now the killers are going to be going after them, so that way they could shut up about keeping that secret. So what they do is they go to the one that Josh helped break out, and then what happens is they come up with a plan to go to the mall and be able to use Deanna's blood to be able to distract the killers and then go after Nick. And it doesn't go as well as possible. Now, I will say this, the way they had him trapped within the mall, that was pretty cool. And then we see they use water guns for the blood to take on to not only for Josh, but also for uh, not Josh, but Nick, and then also be able to do it on the killers to give Dina enough time to be able to fight back. And when he realizes everything that's going on, he decides to run away. And then when he does, Dina goes after him, and they're in the caverns of where this all started, especially after being able to put all the pieces together of why this happened. And it seemed like, again, his family, all his ancestors did this, and they would pass on the torch to where they would give a sacrifice to someone. They go nuts. They murder however many people. It would satisfy the devil, and then the ones who originally did this would prosper, and that's the reason why everyone would prosper. So between Deanna and the rest of the game, they're trying to hold off, and right at the very end, it looks like where Deanna's going to be able to hopefully survive. But what she actually does is she actually has Sarah help her in a way, so where Sarah and her take out Nick and they get revenge slash justice for all the wrongdoing his family did upon Shady Side. Now, by the very end of it, you see where Deanna and Sam, they're able to exit out of everything, and when they finally do, you see where someone gets hit. So that's when Sunnyside starts getting all the issues, or Sunnyvale, or whatever, start getting all the issues that, her area had. And then things slowly start going back to normal. And she gave remembrance to Sarah, obviously, because if it wasn't for her, then nobody would be warned. Nobody would be alive if it wasn't for Sarah. Because anytime they touched her bones, she was trying to give a warning. She was not trying to hurt them. She was trying to help them. She was not a witch. She was wrongfully accused. And she was trying to do the right thing on not only saving possibly anyone of, not really of her descent, but also just to try to protect the town that she came from and get justice for the wrongdoings that Solomon and his descendants did upon others. So the way this ended, I felt like it really grouped around very well. Now, of course, we got a mid-credit scene at the very end of the movie where someone takes the book even after they're able to stop everything. Now, it kind of makes me wonder, okay, who took the book, or was it someone random, or was it, because Nick, he died, his brother was getting investigated for, whatever doings, and we don't know the rest of what happened. So it kind of makes me wonder exactly what is going to be the glue that's gonna kind of go, okay, this is how it's gonna not only end, but there could also be a spinoff of this. Now, I did, when I first started watching this, I was wondering, okay, how is it going to be considered a trilogy? How are they going to kind of connect all the pieces to where everything makes sense? Which it does by the end of the third movie. It connects all the dots, it makes more sense, and it don't leave you really hanging, but it also answers a lot of questions. Now, the only question I would say is at the very end of who gets the book and who is going to try to possibly redo all this, but won't know until we get a fourth one, or a however many years later and they continue this. Again, I enjoyed this film. Again, good music, good acting, good story progression, and I think it was a good film. I do. I think it was a good film. By all of them, I would say either the first one or the third one was probably, well, I don't know. Probably, I mean, all of them are good. I can't really, go, oh, which one was better, because they all were good in my opinion. But what do you guys think of this film? Was it a good film? Was it a bad film? Was it okay? I would definitely say if you're a horror fan, or if you're a fan of Goosebumps, definitely check out this series. You're not going to be disappointed. And I'm going to be doing part 4 on the next video, so definitely keep a lookout for that. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll be seeing you as always on the next one.